Hey friends, it's Ryan with Erosoflove. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a checkup on all of you with Venus retrograde. So we're about halfway through the Venus retrograde cycle. I talked about this in my last video. Venus is retrograding through the sign of Capricorn. She is, like I said, about halfway through right now. She's through her inferior conjunction with the sun, which means that's when Venus is retrograding back, and she's conjoined with the sun. That was yesterday. I'm doing this video on January 10th. Yesterday, Venus conjoined the sun, combust, which means Venusian-like qualities are done. There's something that ended. And now Venus is dipped into the underworld, and now she's going to be reborn when she reconjoins the sun in a few months and becomes the morning star. So she's going through a transformation right now, and this is kind of the, I'm going to say, the halfway point through this whole retrograde season. So Venus retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. Well, Venus is the sign of love, money, aesthetics, relating to people. It's negotiating, harmonizing, it's friends, sexuality, right? Those are all the themes that could come up with Venus retrograde. And in the sign of Capricorn, where she has triplicity, right? Because she rules Taurus. So in another earth sign of Capricorn, she actually does pretty well overall. And there's this weird intermix between Venus and Saturn as it is. The mythology behind it is Saturn cut off Uranus's genitals into the sea. They dipped and then sprang Venus. So there's a weird interplay between Venus and Saturn ruled signs, which is Capricorn and Aquarius. So, but here, Saturn is about boundaries. It is about limits. And the reason for that is Saturn is the furthest out planet that we can see with the naked eye. So for thousands of years, people around the world thought that that was it. The solar system stops with Saturn. After that, it was the unknown. It was the ethereal, right? Saturn was always the dweller at the threshold, creeping along the solar system slowly but surely, keeping karmic tabs on you, keeping receipts. And when it's your time, then you either reap the rewards or you kind of pay the price, right? So there is some karmic ties always with Capricorn, and karmic ties with love now. So we all go through it, and Venus retrogrades every 18 months. So we go through this every year and a half. But Venus always retrogrades in the same signs though. So it's always Aries, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, and Capricorn. So we go through this 8-year cycle. Every 8 years she dips into one of these signs, and now we're finishing it up. So it kind of depends on your own birth chart and where Venus retrograded the first time before you were born, and then right after you were born, and you can make that alignment, and you can draw some very interesting conclusions about where she retrogrades in your particular chart. So if you want to go back every 18 months, and if you're seeing a pattern, pay attention to that. That's that Venus retrograde. Just trying to teach you something in love. Overall. So here we are. Venus has combust. The sun and Venus come together in the sky. You can't see Venus, right? Because the sun is so bright and she's so close to the sun that you actually can't see her in the sky. She's gone. So Venusian-like things are dissipated. They're at its weakest point right now as she is being burnt up by the sun. You can't see her. 40 days and 40 nights. It should sound familiar to some of you. That's Venus retrograde. So we're going through it right now. And I said I would talk about what's happening with me because I think this is how people learn. And I pay attention to what's happening to other people too. And, if I happen to know their birth time, or if I happen to know where their ascendant is at, I keep track of these things. And this one is interesting. So I'm a Cancer rising, which means that Venus retrograde is in my 7th house. 7th house is a house of marriage, one-on-one relationships, partnerships, legal contracts, sexuality, friendships. And my sun and my Venus are conjoined at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So Pluto is at 26 right now, slowly inching his way up to my sun and Venus. And Venus station retrograde right at 26, right?
I told you guys I would let you know what's going on with me. And this one is interesting because the seventh house is the house of other people. So it doesn't necessarily mean Venus retrograde is going to impact me on this one, right? Unless I have other planets in my natal chart that it's hitting, which kind of does, right? It got very close to my sun and my Venus, but not quite. So it's happening to other people. So one interesting story, my mom is also a Cancer rising, so is my brother for that matter. All three of us, kind of weird. But we go through similar things all the time. So I love talking to them and hearing what's going on. And my mom called me right when Venus was stationed retrograde on top of Pluto, right? They were conjoined for like a week and a half. So of course, you know me, my antennas are up and I'm like, oh, I want to know what's going on with people. And my mom calls and she's like, oh my God, my hairstylist just told me that he's been addicted to meth and like all of this stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And you know, I'm not gonna give any names here, but it was one of these things that I was kind of like, what? Like, this is very Venus Pluto. Venus rules aesthetics, hairstylist, right? And then Pluto is things from the underworld, things unseen, like unseemly things, substances, right? So that's meth. But yeah, so like it's like other people, other stories coming in. I've had friends going through some relationship stuff, typical relationship stuff. And let me tell you, because this is my channel and I can talk about whatever I want. I don't name names, but I've always said this with Venus retrograde, and now you got Pluto in the mix. It's always third parties. It's always a third party situation, always. And if you don't have boundaries and limits on it, that is where I was going with this. Is this whole thing with Capricorn? It's insiders and outsiders, the dweller at the threshold. What is your limit? Capricorn is what you don't like. Ooh. Ooh. This is a hard lesson, right? A lesson in love of what you don't want. Ooh. Then you got Pluto in there. Things, oh God, it could be people coming back from the past like it typically does. But it brings up things unseen, secrets, underworld, riches, money, third parties, unseemly things, violence sometimes. So there are things about this particular transit that can be really difficult. So the typical story with this, if you're coupled up, is you go through some challenging things. Maybe you separate for a while Venus is going through a retrograde phase, which is about 6 weeks. And let's say you separate or you're going through some challenging things. Right around the time that Venus stations direct again and starts moving forward, that's when couples start to either decide, yep, we're going to work on this and we're going to move forward, or it's the beginning of the end. Okay. It's usually one or the next. For singles, a lot of times during this phase, you're getting inklings like something's not right. They're hiding something. You don't have all the facts. You might wanting to do a little bit of investigating. That's also Pluto digging deep, right? Doing a little bit of research online maybe. So it's things like that that can come up for singles. The two stories between singles and couples often overlap. Maybe the couple takes a break and all of a sudden you're magnetically drawn to someone outside of your marriage or your partnership, and you hit it off really great, and then all of a sudden things all like start to dissipate, don't work out. So the single finds out, oh, by the way, you're married, you're connected to someone else, and you decide, or he decides, she decides, whoever goes back to the partner. So you can see how the two stories between the couples working their stuff out, and then singles being like, there's something I don't understand that's going on, I don't have all the facts, and lo and behold, they're connected to someone else and they go back to their partner. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes, 9 times out of 10 they do. So I'm getting people ready for that, because this is right around the time that things get really interesting. And then Mars is going to get in the mix too. So Mars is in Sag right now. Mars is making a square that's tension, conflict over to nebulous Neptune, which I'm going to talk about as well. But Mars is a slower moving planet. Mars takes about 2 years to go around the sun. Venus takes like a third of the time, or like 180 days or something like that to go around the sun. So Venus is sitting over here in Capricorn, and here comes Mars. Just trekking along slowly but surely. And he's going to get into Capricorn where he's exalted, and then all of a sudden things are going to change. It's executive action, taking action in a very directed way. Mars in Capricorn is almost military action, CEOs. It's official action. It's got like an officialness to it. It's executiveness. Has to do with government, perhaps, because Capricorn rules government. And then Mars is going to speed up. No, you have to remember this. And I wish I could show you on a chart, and I'm working on this myself. I prefer to just talk to it, but basically what it looks like is Venus is doing her thing. She's moving back. She stops at 11 degrees of Capricorn, and here comes Mars, slowly but surely creeping up. And remember, Venus, when she stations direct, she's not moving forward right away. She takes a while to start gaining speed, moving forward. She's going to be stationed direct at 11 degrees of Capricorn for like a good week. And that's when Mars starts creeping in, slowly but surely. There's this action that has to come in that's going to resolve this retrograde cycle in some way, shape, or form, right? And then it's basically Venus and Mars, the lovers, travel together, and then they meet up with Pluto. And that's like late March. And not late March, that's early March. And that's when I think we're going to see, where is this all going, right? If it's going to end, it's going to end right around there, right? If it's going to make it, you're going to know by then. Plain and simple. It's big stuff. Watch what's happening with the news too. Any countries that are aggressive during any type of retrograde phase never goes well. And look at what's happening with Russia and the Ukraine. So I won't get into politics right now, but the aggressor during any type of retrograde phase never works out for them. Venus rules women. We've seen a lot about women in government, and these trials happening right now too. Ghislaine Maxwell, guilty. Kim Porter, guilty. There was another one in the news too, guilty. This is a review of karmic ties to women when Venus is going retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. Now you got Pluto. Any more of this, it's going to shake out that way. That's just kind of the way this one works. And then Mars gets into the mix. So it's very interesting overall how this is going to all shake out for people. But we have to remember there's something that has to die. Venus is being burnt up by the sun right now. Something's got to literally die. So in the next month and a half, 2 months or so, Venus can start moving forward again, and she's going to be reborn as the morning star. So that's how these Venus retrograde cycles work. Not easy stuff. Now, the reason that I want to talk about this today is actually Mars, this planet of action, vitality, virility, passion, cutting, severing, conflict, is making a 90-degree harsh angle over to nebulous Neptune sitting in Pisces right now. And I think this is energy that I'm feeling, and it's adding to the complexity of this Venus retrograde cycle overall. And it's at 20 degrees, Mars is at 20 degrees of Sag. Neptune is at 20 degrees of Pisces. If any planets around that or at 20 degrees, you could be affected. But I want to read to you about these archetypes because this is really hit home for me this morning. So this is one of my favorite desk books. It's The Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. It's just an archetypal combination of planets when they meet up and what could we expect, right? And it gives a good flavor of different themes. So the principles of Mars and Neptune, it's spiritual, creative vitality, magnetic warmth and charisma, a gentle and sensitive strength, gifts of compassionate action and enlightened non-action, strange feelings of pointlessness and futility, toxic blah malaise, uncomfortable inner heat, the potential for secret harmful actions, camouflaged desires.
So the last few days, I have just been like, what's the point? I'm like, I don't care. Like literally just feeling like, I don't care. I don't want to put action into this. I don't see the point in doing X, Y, and Z. So that's how this one hit me personally. Now I want to read to you some of the shadow qualities because a square is difficult. It's supposed to be action oriented. It's the nature of Mars. It usually sparks some tension, some conflict, and then action follows. So shadow qualities, this is how it could come out for us. A demoralizing sense of futility and pointlessness, weakness and lack of confidence, inability to take decisive action, and not being up to life's challenges, unfocused and stalled willpower, procrastination. Feelings of strange toxicity, blah malaise and depression, inner dampness and numbing, vague and diffuse irritations, uncomfortable inner heat, threats from tiny organisms. I'm getting over a cold, by the way, and rashes and itching. So you can see how the planets could potentially grab you here. It's not exactly, I just feel like, what's the point? Like, I just don't have any drive to really do anything at this point. And that's kind of how this is playing out for me overall. It's going to be different for all of you, though. But there's some weird compassionate, like fake compassion. Like, that's what I get from this. Deceitful compassion. Like, I'm going to act like I care, but I don't really. It's kind of what I'm getting from this. And when you put that on top of Venus retrograde, where people are already amped up, that's the one thing that irritates people the most. When you're trying to get a reaction from someone and they say, I don't care. That's really going to set some people off, like over the next couple of days. So let's see. All right, so we're going to do tarot reading for all of the signs. I'm going to do a collective reading, and I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. So I have this new deck. It's called the Astrology Deck. It's from Lisa Stardust. It just came out. Very excited to have this. And there's different things that I'm going to do with this, but we're going to do the traditional tarot, but I'm going to point you to certain transits and planets that can help us get through whatever it is that Venus retrograde is throwing at us, or this Mars and Neptune transit. So let's see what's going on overall. These cards are pretty cool. I like them. I was kind of giving it a try to see how I like it, and astrology never fails. It never fails. So let's see. Oh, and you know, Mercury's going retrograde in the sign of Aquarius on the 14th. So we're getting a double dose of retrogrades. And this one I don't particularly care for, and the reason for that is Mercury is going over the points in Aquarius where lockdowns first started in 2020, and I think there's going to be a lot. Where are we seeing it with Omicron, right? Now it's Deltacron or whatever the heck it's called. That's probably what I have. I haven't been going anywhere, but I did get tested and it came out negative, but these tests you just don't know. Anyway, but it kind of feels like a cold. I don't know. I'm not going anywhere. That's the point. But anyway, it feels like this is coming back up again, right? And we're going through all of these, you know, we're having mask mandates again here in Minneapolis. There could even be lockdowns coming up again. Like, these are not, it's not beyond the realm of possibility, because right when the pandemic was hitting, these are the degrees in Aquarius that were being hit by Saturn and Jupiter. It was right around last year at this time. But it was when Saturn entered into Aquarius that we saw lockdowns across the entire world. This is where Venus is at. It's a review of all this great stuff again. Yay. So that's what we have to look forward to on top of Venus retrograde. Hey, Casey. We're going to have Casey. Casey, come here. Oh, who is that? Casey, come here. Come here. Casey, come. Say hi to Casey. Come on. Come here. Hey. Come here. Come on. Hey. Come on. Come on. Up. Up. Some of you are like, stop doing this here, dog. Here he is. Hey, buddy. He is been, well, It's cold here in Minneapolis. We don't get to go outside quite as often. It's been like negative 15, so he's been real cooped up lately. But lately he's been like, what's the point too? He's going through a little bit of a thing. So, okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a collective reading. I'm going to tune into some things collectively for all of us, collective message for all of us. How do we get through this? If you're looking for a personal reading, my email is in the description box below. I'm doing personal readings again. I've taken some time out. I needed to for work and other reasons. But right now, I think people need it. So if you want a personal reading, send me an email and we can set up a time. So we're going to pull one card from the angels. We're going to pull 3 cards from the astrology deck. One for the planet that's important for us to take a look at, one for the transit, and then one from the sign, right? And then we're going to do a collective reading from the tarot too. So it's going to be a whole bunch of divination techniques coming about for all of us. So take the messages that resonate with you, leave the rest. As always, if you like these videos and would like to see more of them, please click the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel and it's very much appreciated for me. And you get to see more of me. I promise I'll be on a little bit more now that winter is here. It's taken me a while to think about what I want to do with the channel. It's been a year since I've been on YouTube. I've had some really good success here, some really good growth, but because of my work schedule, I can't be consistent with it all the time, which sucks because I would love to be. So I just got to find the right equation that works for me to be able to do this and work and see friends and family and all the other stuff. And Casey gets to be a lot, but I still want to do this and provide this service free for all of you. So let's see what's going on. I think things are really going to heat up with this Venus retrograde coming up. I think with Mars in the mix, things get real weird. And it's an exalted Mars. So it's kind of like people are going to start taking some pretty serious action very quickly here. And remember, it has to do with boundaries and limits. So if you're having these talks now with your significant other, it's really important to define your boundaries and limits. Really important right now. Gonna give the tarot another shuffle. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. All right, let's do this. Collective reading. This is for everyone. This is from the Angels Romance deck. Very soon, clearly decide what you want, so it comes to you now. Yep. I mean, if that isn't a perfect card for all of us right now, you got to know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, you can't manifest it. So the people that always say, I don't know what I want, steer the hell away from them. I think they're the most dangerous people out there. When people say they don't know what they want, get out of there because they will run you through the mud. So if you are on the fence about things, about a relationship, if you're on the fence about where it's going, you need to start deciding very, very soon, or the universe is going to decide for you. It's time to do some serious introspection. What is aligned with you and what's not? And you're going to know. Listen to your intuition here. You're going to know. All right, so this is the planet that we need some guidance from. So this is the one that might give us some additional insight. Let's see here. Feeling this one. Saturn. Saturn is often considered the father of the cosmos, an austere paternal figure. It's associated with discipline and responsibility, as it teaches us hard lessons and pushes us toward the right path, whether we like it or not. Saturn helps us learn from previous mistakes as we embark on future projects, encouraging us toward our destiny. Saturn is also associated with personal karma, holding us accountable for our past decisions and helping us learn from them. Saturn changes signs every 28 to 30 years. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. That's where these retrograde planets are happening, Mercury and Venus. Saturn is dignified right now. Saturn's in Aquarius. So Saturn's the most powerful planet right now in our cosmos.
Jupiter might be up there now too, because Jupiter just moved into Pisces, which it also rules, but Saturn in Aquarius, it's very comfortable there. It rules Aquarius. We got to learn our lessons. We got to be disciplined. We got to be responsible. We got to know our boundaries and our limits. And Saturn's going to test it. And also remember, Saturn's about fine appearances. Saturn shows up as not a trickster, but as camouflaged. So your lesson might look like something that you don't even know. And you're like, what is this? That's Saturn. Feigned appearances. Something isn't what it seems, and it's here to teach us, right? The next one is the transit card. What kind of transit are we looking for here? This will be interesting. Saturn just squared Uranus. It's been squaring Uranus all year in 2021. Mars is going to come up to... No. Trying to think of what else is happening with Saturn right now. Well, let's see. Let's pick a card and find out. Planetary retrograde. Never mind. Planetary retrograde occurs when a planet appears to move backwards in the sky from our vantage point. In fact, the planet is not moving backward. Planets always move forward in the same direction, but when its relative speed and proximity to Earth changes, it can create the illusion of backwards motion. That's what I was talking about. It's based on the orbit around the sun and Earth, Earth and Venus. It looks like an illusion when it's moving backwards. It's actually not. Every astrological planet, aside from the sun and moon, goes through retrograde. Retrogrades are a great time to take a break from the fast-paced nature of our day-to-day life, reassessing things and setting intentions. In the birth chart, retrograde planets can indicate ability to see matters from a psychic perspective. So I think it's pretty clear. We're going through Venus retrograde right now, and we're going to be going through Mercury retrograde on the 14th in Saturn-ruled signs. Discipline and responsibility. Capricorn is more about, honestly, difficulty, hardship, discipline and responsibility. Capricorn is one of the more difficult signs to have any natal planets in or transits. It just hits people very difficult. It hits people hard, basically. Capricorn sun and ascendants are used to it. They've gone through it their entire life, so they understand hardship. But Capricorn is a sign of hardship. It's a sign of the gods. Capricorn is, the glyph is the signature of God. No one really knows what Capricorn is. It's one of the oldest constellations that we have around. It goes back way before any other constellation. And it's just known as the place of God. It's where the gods come from. No one really knows what it is. So Aquarius, on the other hand, has more to do with the collective, the future. Where are we going? Saturn's more about the past and the status quo. Aquarius is more about the future. It's polarities. They're complete opposite, but it's ruled by the same sign. The same planet. So it's letting go of the past and moving into the future. And I think this Mercury retrograde happening right at the same degrees where Saturn was moving into Aquarius in March of 2020 when lockdown happened. I think it's just a review of where we came from over the last 2 years. Did you learn your lessons of COVID and the lockdown and everything else that happened in 2020? 2021 was about how do we move forward. 2022 is now going to be, well, I'll tell you this. Right around May, it's around May, early May, late April, there's going to be what I'm going to call cosmic ecstasy. And it's going to be kind of a reprieve from all of the crappiness that we've gone through over the last couple of years, because we're in these Saturn-ruled signs, a lot of Capricorn, a lot of Aquarius, a lot of restriction and delay. Creates a lot of problems. People have a really difficult time with Saturn-ruled signs overall. And this planetary retrograde with Venus is just kind of like the cherry on top. We're kind of moving out of this hardship of Capricorn and into the future of Aquarius, but we still have Saturn in Aquarius until 2023. I think that's when the pandemic will finally be done.
That's when it started. Saturn moved into Aquarius, March 2020, retrograded back into Capricorn for a few months. That's when things reopened again. Then things moved, then Saturn moved back into Aquarius. That's when things kind of got serious again with the pandemic. That's when Delta showed up. And then Saturn's going to leave Aquarius in March of 2023. So I think we have about another year to go. People keep asking. I think it's about a year. All right, enough about Saturn and Aquarius, Capricorn. All right, this is the sign that's going to be important. So let's see what it is we need to look to. Remember, retrogrades are about review, reassessment, realignment. So it's looking to you specifically. What needs to be reassessed here? And the universe will make it very clear to you. Very clear. This is the sign that will be important for us. What do we got? Pisces. Symbolized by the fish, Pisces are full of compassion and kindness. They're the most spiritually and psychically connected of all in the zodiacal wheel. Approaching life from a space of faith and empathy. Intuitive, gentle, selfless. They are the humanitarians who feel tremendous pain for the world's problems. But they may not be great about communicating their own pain and needs. Represented by the planet Neptune, Pisces are powerfully connected to the sea and enjoy spending time in water. That's very interesting because we just talked about this square between Mars and Neptune, right? Pisces is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter just moved into Pisces. Jupiter is going to provide hope and inspiration and faith. And we're going to feel a sense of inspiration coming back into our lives in 2022 because Jupiter's in Pisces. The thing is, Saturn is still sitting in Aquarius, and Saturn's very powerful in Aquarius, and Jupiter is very powerful in Pisces too. But there's a healing aspect happening in Pisces. And the aspect that I was talking about this late April, early May is Jupiter, Pisces, and Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus are all going to be conjoined at about 27th degree of Pisces right around April 30th. And I think there's also like a lunar eclipse in Taurus that day too. And Taurus rules, Venus rules Taurus, by the way. The reason why this is really important, the fact that we have Venus, Neptune, and Jupiter at the 27th degree of Pisces is Venus is exalted at the 27th degree of Pisces, which means we get all of the amazingness of Venus blown up through the expansion of Jupiter, which also rules Pisces, and compassion and empathy and amazingness that comes from Neptune, right? So it's cosmic ecstasy on a different level. This is going to be amazing. So this is hope. This is inspiration. Pisces. For those of you, no, none of you would know this. So I'm a Cancer ascendant. My Sun and my Venus are conjoined at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So this Venus retrograde cycle hasn't impacted me yet, but I got some other things probably coming up for me. But then my progressed planets, my Sun, my Venus, my Mercury, and Jupiter are all in Pisces. All four of them. So Pisces provides hope and inspiration. It's empathetic. You got to watch for delusionment, self-sabotage, drugs. I'm going I'm switching gears because I want to talk about this April 30th date real quick. Next year, 2022, there's going to be a lot of drug overdoses. You have to be really, really careful of drugs in 2022. Pisces and drugs go hand in hand. Alcoholism, sex addictions, drug addictions, and you have Neptune, which already is this. Neptune is a planet of disease, things unseen, things lurking beneath the surface. It's nebulous. And then with expansive, amazing Jupiter that provides growth, hope, opportunity, faith, but it expands everything. And then Venus on top of it. It's going to be, people are going to be riding on a cosmic high of some type. And it could be amazing for a while, but it could also be very delusional too, because Neptune's involved there. And I think people are going to go off the deep end, and they're going to feel so good that they do too much. It's overkill to like the nth degree. So we'll talk about that more coming up. But these are competing. Saturn and Pisces. These are competing philosophies. These are competing zodiacal energies. Pisces is warm, it's loving, it has to do with soulmates, it has to do with completions, it has to do with the ethereal, being spiritually connected, being kind of a hippie in a way. And Saturn is very much like the old guard, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, we don't have time for any of this herbal crap. Things like that. That's very Saturnine. So it's the push and pull, right? But we have Venus retrograde and we have Mercury retrograde happening in the signs of Capricorn. Discipline and responsibility, limits, boundaries, and restriction and delay. That is all of it. But you have to have very, very clear boundaries. It's for all of us. It's for all of us. And limits. There can't be love without guidelines and boundaries. And all of us are going to be tested in some way, shape, or form very soon. So that's what we have. Let's do the tarot. Be empathetic, be spiritual. I think this is just, we have to remember our soft side in times of hardness. We have to be gentle and caring and empathetic and tap into that compassion and empathy even when things are so dry and so crummy, because that's when people need it the most, right? That's when we need it the most, when things are so shitty and someone walks in, and it could be just a smile. Someone holds open the door for you. A single act of kindness goes a very long way these days. Very long way. Look to see where Pisces falls in your chart. There could be some clues there. Look and see where Saturn falls in your natal chart right now. Like I said, Saturn's in Aquarius right now. That could have some implications for you. You're going to want to take at your charts. Perhaps you're dealing with the Pisces, perhaps you're dealing with a Saturnine type character here, and the planet, the retrograde cycles are just bringing it all up for you. All right, this is the collective reading. First card out, general energies, 6 of Swords. The Devil, oh wow. Saturn's appearing twice. That means I meant what I said. Page of Wands. The Chariot. King of Cups. Knight of Cups. God. I don't know what I got, but it's awful. Sorry about that. All right. Here we are. Here we are. So first card out is always the most important, right? 6 of Swords. Moving to clear waters. This is for everyone, right? Done with the old stuff. That's Saturn, right? Saturn is the old guard. This is Saturn. This is what's crossing us, right? This is Capricorn. This is Aquarius. And here's the Lovers. Chained. We'll talk more about him. But this is us trying to escape our past. The chains that bind us. Old patterns that are no longer working for us. Clear waters. We're done. Goodbye. It's just not working anymore. It's time to let it go. It's probably been percolating for a while. Venus will station direct on the 29th of January. So we're coming to it. Energy's building to this point, and then she stands still in the sky again and starts moving forward. So the inkling here is we want to move to clear waters. We want to let something go. We want to let go of something mentally. Remember, swords are mental. It's our thoughts. So with Pluto in the mix with this Venus retrograde, obsession, jealousy, possessiveness, fear. Could be some obsession here. And here he is, the obsession card. The chains that bind us have to be let go. This is the Capricorn card. This is Saturn. Toxic people, toxic thinking, toxic situations, toxic cycles, toxic places. People forget that too. Whenever I walk back into the big auditorium where I did the bar exam back in 2012, I inevitably, my heart just starts racing. Like I get PTSD anxiety from being in that particular place. Places can be toxic too. Addictions need to be addressed. Limits, boundaries. The chains can be unbound. Here are the lovers, right? Here they are. Those chains can be broken at any point in time. It's a matter of deciding, when are you going to do it? Can you do it? Do you want to? You do. You want to move into clear waters, but you got to address some toxic cycles. The devil is very much about your blind spot. And what are you blind to? That's the challenge. Now, at the bottom of the reading, I like this, is the Chariot. It's a new direction. It's the antithesis to the devil. This is Capricorn, right? The devil. This is Cancer. It's the Capricorn-Cancer axis, right? It's the new start, the beginning and the end. Quite literally, the beginning and the end. This is the new start, right? Cancer, could be dealing with a Cancer too. Got a lot of water here. Could be dealing with a Capricorn, definitely. But Cancer is all about the new start. It's the new path. You're getting through the drudge, the karmic crap, the karmic sludge. You're going deep. And once you get to rock bottom, you don't have to hit rock bottom, by the way, but once you get to that place where you're like, this is the sticking point, Chariot shows up. A new path, a new direction, and one that's victorious, by the way, too. So sticking on the old path is not an option anymore. It's simply just not an option anymore. And at the top of the reading is the Page of Wands. So this is interesting, right? Because pages represent communication. It can represent childlike qualities. So some of you, a child might be involved in this situation as well. But the Page of Wands, fiery communication, some of you are dealing with issues of passion and intimacy too. And that's what a lot of this has to deal with, actually. We don't have to be around the bush on this channel. It's a fuck buddy. Okay? I'm just going to say it. And I'm just going to say it. So that's not for all of you. That's for some of you. But this is also very fiery communication. So some of you need to watch your words too. Just as a matter of course. But this is at the top of the reading, which means this is the trigger point, right? So maybe you just really need to have just let it all out, get it all out, and lay it out on the table so you can clear the air. I think that's part of this. And you're going to have to get in touch with your emotions, because on either side of this reading, you have the King of Cups on one side, and then you have the Knight of Cups on the other. And here, this is kind of interesting. So we have a more mature energy on this side, one that is emotionally mature. They know how to not control their emotions. They know how to control themselves when they're feeling a certain emotion. So you won't see them go off the handle at a therapy session, for instance. This is a person cool, calm, and collected, right? They're the king. They have emotional depth, and they provide so much nurturing and so much love through their actions. This is acts of service, but there's also words of affirmation here. This is one of the best kings you can have for love. This is where you want to go, right? This is you saying, this is you having the emotional maturity to get to that point where you can have what you want. But there's got to be a sacrifice. That's what the devil wants. And that's what the Chariot demands. You can't start the new journey without giving something up. It's going to require some emotional intelligence here to get to the root cause. What is it that you want? And then go for it. You're going to have an emotional conversation. It might get a little bit fiery at times. You're going to have to talk about the things that people don't really want to talk about. It's those crummy things, addictions, toxic behavior, toxic thinking, toxic people, toxic places. It's everything that I said. And you need to have this conversation. You need to get it out in the air. And you need to be emotionally mature about this and see the other side. Can't go in one ear and out the next. You got to take it for what it is, right? Capricorn is dry. It's to the point. If Capricorn were to describe a sofa, for instance, it's not going to go into its style. It's not going to go into its color. Capricorn's not going to go into when it was made, what it's made of. It's going to say, it's a sofa. You sit on it. Unlike maybe a Cancer that would be like, oh, I love these little bells and whistles, and it does all this great, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, that you get the point. It's to the point. But it's emotionally mature to the point where you've cut out all of the excess, all of the noise, all of the bullshit. Gone. The outcome, though, is the Knight of Cups. So that's good. Knight of Cups is emotional fulfillment. It's an emotional offer. It could be an emotional offer to start something new. It could be the emotional offer to redefine the terms of the relationship. It could be the terms of a redefined relationship. Some of you might get married. Some of you might get engaged. It's the new path, right? Leaving something behind, right? I think this is probably indicative of a lot of couples right now. And right in the middle of it, it's the devil. How do you start new? By defining the limits and the boundaries of your relationship. And if they do not match, and if your values are not on the same page, okay, there's no point in keeping the relationship alive. If you're not on the same page with values and you don't respect each other's boundaries and your limits, it's done, okay? It's that simple. It's done. This is my Capricorn coming out. I'm telling you the way it is. If you can get down to what the new path looks like, if you can negotiate the terms of your relationship, if you can tap into that Venus-like energy in Libra and be the negotiator, you get the new path. You save the relationship. Or you get out of the relationship that's not working and you start something new. Emotional maturity. You have to get down to the emotional bottom of the cause, the root cause. And you need to be really honest with yourself about this. One more card, please clarify the Knight of Cups. The Lovers. Oh, there it is. So, you get the new love, some of you will, when you're emotionally honest with yourself about your needs and your wants and your boundaries and your limits. Others of you will end a relationship and you'll meet someone new down the road. Others of you will redefine your relationship and you're going to be just fine. You're going to rekindle it, which I love seeing that too. Others of you are getting engaged. Now, this is tricky. If you're getting engaged during Venus retrograde, send me a message if that's you, because some of you aren't seeing everything. I'd say you don't want to get engaged until Venus is out of shadow. So that's March. So if you just got engaged and you're freaking out right now, it's not the end of the world. You just need to have your engagement go a little bit longer. Don't be rushing off into anything just quite yet. So, but that's, I love seeing this. But it's also a choice, right? Let's not forget that too. The lovers are still a choice. Do you want it or not? You can. Something's got to be given up. You need to go into clear waters. You need to have well-defined boundaries. But clearly decide what you want very soon. Because if you don't, universe is going to take it out of your life. That's how these work. So I hope you all enjoyed the reading. I wanted to check in with all of you, see how things are going. Let me know. I'm interested to hear about your Venus retrograde stories. If it's too personal, obviously don't leave it on YouTube. I do read all of them, all of your comments, and I do respond. So let me know how it's going. You guys know what's going on with me. I'm kind of waiting. That's the thing. Like sometimes astrologers, they hype up all these transits, like what's going to happen. And then sometimes it doesn't happen. You're like, what's going on? And then you realize, like, well, it's 7th house for me, so it's happening to other people. So you kind of just got to sit and wait around and help people, right? So that's the other thing. Someone's going through a difficult time, be extra compassionate. That's that Pisces energy, right? Be extra compassionate because those are the people that need it the most right now. They really do, because this could be a really difficult time for some people. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. We'll talk to you all next time. Take care.